This is Labyrinth of the Demon King for Windows PC, developed by J.R. Hudipole, I think I pronounced that correctly, and published by Top Hat Studios. This is a demo for an upcoming game that's going to be released this year. That's 2025. As of this video, there's no scheduled release date that I can see. Hopefully it's going to be soon so I can get deeper into this one. I found this game on Steamfest, which is this independent showcase of upcoming games that's running right now. I grabbed a bunch, and I've been flagging them to my wish list. This was one of the first games I installed, and I'm really liking it so far. It has a bunch of elements that I'm familiar with. We have a first-person shooter slash survival horror slash dungeon crawler kind of experience. The story is straightforward enough. A demon killed your lord, you're hunting down that demon. There you go. That's good enough of a premise for me, and I'm interested to see where it goes. It has a very specific look and feel, and it has little pieces of other games, or sentiments of other games. And I'm okay with this, because those games are really good. At a high level, this actually looks like a PS1 game, with smoother background animations. It's in 4:3 format, and I was unable to change this. I kind of thought I would be able to, but if there's a setting for it, I haven't figured it out, but it appears to be in 4:3. And it maybe has a little less grain than a PlayStation 1 game, but it does have that basic design aesthetic. I'm a PlayStation 1 fan, so this works for me. More specific, this game kind of reminds me of King's Field a little. This is an obscure, difficult game that was really a precursor to the Dark Souls series in later generations. I didn't get very far in that particular game, because it was super difficult. But there's definitely a good comparison to be made to that game. Playing this, I also felt that there were things that were very similar to Silent Hill or the PlayStation 2 game Siren. All this darkness and dread, this grim color palette, and this dark, grainy environment. Maybe it feels a little like Tenchu as well, but I'm also seeing Resident Evil here. Resident Evil I see as a result of the loading screens between rooms. When you go through a door or you walk up a flight of stairs, you get a door or a stair animation, which was really the same thing you got from the early Resident Evil games. It gives you a second to take a breath between little areas, and it makes you wonder what you're walking into. I really like that. The appearance of this game, though, it does make you have to make some adjustments. Sometimes it's a little difficult to discern what you're looking at. Is that a creature in the distance that you're running up on, or is it just a weird pile of something? Also, occasionally some items seem to blend into the background just a little bit, which is different than a lot of games that I see. Not all items, of course. Some are easy enough to see, but there are a few that maybe were a little more difficult than others. But as you get used to it, you learn also what items could be destructible, what you can smash, because you can find things inside of boxes and what have you. You can also find bad things inside those boxes, actually. The first time I died in this game, it was because a worm was in a box, and it had a tooth. And basically over the next minute, that worm slowly killed me. I had a broken sword, and I was scrambling to try to kill it, but I couldn't figure out how to bend over and smash it. It was a terrible and somewhat embarrassing way to die. Eventually I figured it out. You have to use your kick, and you give him the old boot squash. Not the way I wanted to go, but I'm glad I figured out how to kill it, because it almost killed me a second time. You start the game with the broken katana, and through your wanderings you're going to collect coins, you're going to be able to buy new weapons and supplies. Standard adventure fare, and it seems appropriate to this world. I would miss it if it weren't there, so it's very cool that it is. As for gameplay, it's one of those games where you really need to pay attention to the controls, so you can parry, dodge, and kick to break someone's guard. Swinging wildly will not result in success. You really need to be focused here, and I'm finding that it kind of makes the kills a little more rewarding when they happen. Also, I know this is a demo, and I'm not too terribly far in the story. I'm happy to see that I'm not flooded with enemies. I ran through the practice session to get the basic understanding of the controls of the game itself and how it's going to work, and there was actually a fair bit of wandering around in the world before I actually ran into my first opponent. I ran all the way through the woods, and then through this gigantic creepy cavern, just looking for trouble. There isn't an army bearing down on you, but it's you slowly making your way through these maze environments, and then you gearing up and finding the enemies that you need to kill. Before you get to the main demon, you apparently have to get through 4 smaller bosses, lords I believe. You just need to find them and defeat them, and they're all sort of in their own little maze. I learned all this from this woman praying out in front of a shrine in the courtyard. A cool thing about her is she looks like a spirit herself, as do pretty much all the enemies I've run into so far, even including the merchant. The monsters that you fight, they're demons or they're spirits, whatever they are. They have sort of a simplistic, basic design, and they're gross looking. It's like they were dragged out of someone's nightmare and popped in front of you. They're not totally crisp and clear. It's really interesting. And we also get cutscenes. And you get some disturbing cutscenes, actually. Usually it's some really creepy behavior. Early on, it's of creatures eating other creatures. Once again, we get some good nightmare stuff here. It plays well enough once you get used to the controls, and the only issue that I really am running into is the focus of the selection menu sometimes disappears when I'm trying to access something. Or maybe it's the pickup menu. It usually highlights something red, but if you're playing with the controls really quick, and you might actually move the cursor off of it, and as a result, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes I have to exit the menu and go back in. It's not too much of a bother at this stage, I guess. It also could be the fact that I'm a newbie, and I'm not fully understanding the game yet. I imagine that'll take me another 4 or 5 hours. Still, for a free demo, it looks great, and it kept me interested. I'm definitely going to check this one out when the full release hits later in the year. It's too interesting to not want to go deeper. Well, that's all I have today for Labyrinth of the Demon King demo for Windows PC today. Thanks for stopping by to take a look, and hope to catch you on another video.